We got countdown.
Everybody, thank you very much for coming. I do apologise for the slight delay tonight. I got some news earlier that my granny's in hospital with COVID, and yeah, we're going to go tonight. We're going to go for a distraction. We're going to go for a bit of fun. So, yeah, everybody, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate everybody being here. We've got the usual crowd, as always. We've also been joined by Ricardo tonight, and Kevin has just slipped in as well. So, if everybody... Oh, this is just going to be one of those days. Yeah, there we go. Kevin's now on screen. So, appreciate everybody coming. We did run a poll earlier. The poll was a few suggestions that I'd put out from the other day. And Problems in Society has won. I'm sure that I am going to get shouted at for the definition of the title and the way everything's wrote, and Dave is, I'm sure, going to make an ass out of me. But go, everybody! Thank you for coming. And Dave, go on, get your first.
Are we
dig
going to
in.
fix the entire of society tonight?
No.
Every problem.
Just
have to fix it.
Just our immediate one, Dave. Whichever one's closest.
Just our immediate society, or just our immediate problem? Our immediate problem could be fixed with an election where people vote the right way.
No. Oh, just your immediate problems that's in your surrounding area with all your community and your society and everything that's around you right now. Just that.
Well, there's nothing wrong with society right now. I don't leave the house. Society works quite well. It's out there, and we're in here.
Well, thanks for coming, Dave. It's been a wonderful show.
Oh no, Dave, they're going to impact you whether you engage with them or not. They're still going to impact how much your bills are, how much your income is. There's all kinds of legislation that's impacting your life, whether or not you interact directly with society.
At the moment, no one is interacting with society.
Right.
Well, not in the UK.
Well, people are.
So you're supposing that if we all just stay home perpetually, it will fix all the problems of society?
No, I think we're all going to run out of money eventually.
I'm not. I work. Fuck you all.
Yeah. I work hard.
Me and MathPig haven't stopped working.
Yeah. My fucking hand, Dave. You should see my left hand now. It's completely swollen.
I want full stigmata, or it's not worth anything.
No. Thank fuck it was a big drill bit, not a little bit, or it would have actually went through my fucking hand. But yeah. Slight accident at work, and now my left hand looks like it's been wrapped in poison ivy.
Yeesh.
Right. So I've got to ask. The first question has to be: what is the biggest problem in society right now?
Well, I asked the guy that I work with today, the Christian fella, and his three answers was education, not enough people love Jesus, and too many people free-spirited.
Free-spirited.
See, I think if you had to pick a single problem with society right now, and I just look at the world as a whole, I would say religion.
Yeah, pretty much.
I tried to explain to them what a contradiction was. I was like, you're contradicting yourself with more education and more religion. It usually doesn't go hand in hand.
Hand in hand, yeah.
Yeah, it's one or the other.
Yeah, they don't usually work well together.
And I think free-spirited, or words to that effect was, we're too free-spirited.
too free spirited.
We think for ourselves.
We think for ourselves because we're not educated.
Well, I don't know if it's the same over there, but here in the last few months, there's really been this move from free market advocation that's what they want to advocate for, to now the free market is cancel culture. So I don't think they know what they want.
Wait. Free marketism is cancel culture?
Yeah,
What?
like okay, so you got a show, you got a product, a television show that you're making. You got ingredients in that show. You got crew, you got actors, you got directors. Somebody on that crew has something bad that they're doing socially, so they get removed from the show. And people say that that's cancel culture. That's not cancel culture. It is free market. That is they're selling a product. The customers say, "Hey, we like your product. We don't like this ingredient." So you take the ingredient out of it. That's free market.
Crafty, I love you. I've got into half a dozen arguments with a libertarian recently and saying that cancel culture is basically free market at its core.
But it's not.
How is it not?
How's it not? It is very much free market.
No, it's not.
It so is.
They're selling something. They're selling a product with individuals that participate in the production of that product. The customer says, we won't buy the product if this person's still involved with the production of the product. So in order to capitalize on the product, they have to take that ingredient out. So they take that ingredient out. That's the free market regulating what's going into the product.
The problem with this is cancel culture is outrage culture. Outrage culture is emotional, and that flies in the face of the statistical bullshit that free market claims to promote.
No, the problem with
People
cancel
start
culture
giving
is
this,
we don't
like,
have companies willing to stand up for the people on the right or the left, depending on who you're arguing with. At the end of the day, companies should be standing up and saying, well, we think that they have a right to do this, and then employing them. I mean, look at what ITV's done with Piers Morgan.
I try to avoid Piers Morgan at every fucking turn,
Morgan.
so I've not been paying attention.
Piers Morgan has been called out for bullying and harassment by several
That's
employees.
his whole bit.
Thousands, you said.
I'm glad I could facilitate some friction here right off the bat. You're welcome, MathPig.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking Dave's so smart now.
He doesn't work for us. He's a freelancer. We don't care. Right? And that's how cancel culture is meant to work. You have companies that will stand up for people and companies that won't. And people get sacked by companies. They should be able to go to other companies and get jobs. I'm talking about media companies basically here. Because there are other companies that care that they're not going to lose, that they're going to lose business from this group of people.
I'm sure Stephen has some thoughts on this. Stephen?
Maya asks if I know what free market is. Yes, I just happen to have a master's in sociology. So yes, I know what free market is.
Dave's usually not wrong, like, you know. We go by the assumption here that Dave's always right.
No.
What? That's a terrible assumption to go by.
I find that a dangerous assumption. I love you, Dave, but no.
The problem I have is, right, I think cancel culture as a thing is good. I think we are lacking organisations that will stand up for what they believe so. Basically.
I still don't understand how cancel culture is not free market, when even if it's outrage and emotionally driven by the consumer, you know,
because that's exactly why it's not free market. The free market it's not ruled by the consumer, it's ruled by profit and what is creating profit, and that's not always the consumer. Profit
is accrued through marketing, yes. Right?
Not always, no.
But it can be.
Can be, but not always.
Yeah, it's a part of a marketing structure that would be advertising. So to have a cereal with Hitler on the box is not going to sell as good as a cereal with a clown on the box. So if they put up a cereal with Hitler on the box and like, oh, we aren't going to buy this because there's a Hitler on the box, and they switch it, is that not the consumer market driving the sale of that by making the product marketable?
But that's just the product. What's the word? The image. That's not the actual product.
Right, just the image, exactly.
People are over and over again.
But you're not. But you're not canceling the product. You're canceling the image. There's a difference.
Yeah.
But it's. I don't personally. I'm not in favor of cancel culture. I'm not. And that's kind of, and I get into trouble with a lot of my left-wing friends because I'm not in favor of cancel culture. That's why I identify as a centrist, because there are some things that are just taken way too far. And when you allow emotion to dictate, solely dictate, the whole idea of markets, it's the same thing as allowing just the figures to only dictate, which is free market. Free market is you allow the figures, you allow the profit margin and the rate of profit to dictate what you do, what you continue with and what you don't. Cancel culture is similar, but it's the total opposite. But you don't, because it's all based on emotion.
As Maya said, consumers are a component of always a component of the profit.
Do you think that when they let's use the Gina Carano because that's recent from Mandalorian. Do you think that that Disney Plus, that their profits went up or down when they got rid of her? Because I think that they were responding to what they felt was the market's demands, the people who view the show, to say, we don't want this woman in the show that we're watching. We love this show. We don't want this character, this woman in this anymore because
that being said, people railed against the last fucking season of Game of Thrones. They still went with that thing, and people still fucking watched it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People would still watch The Mandalorian,
you know what I mean?
too. So, yeah. But do more people? Do you think that it was?
But that is not what. That's not the only thing that dictates what free market is.
So are you saying that Disney made that decision based on emotions? I don't think Disney gives a fuck about.
No, they don't.
The people and the shit that she said. What they worried about was losing money off of her being controversial. That was their driving force. So them worrying about losing money off that. Oh, go ahead.
It's not the first time they've sacked an actor because of something stupid like that.
You think so? You don't think she should have been fired for that?
I'm not that familiar with what she was sacked for.
Okay.
But it's,
basically, she said that conservatives in the United States are treated the same as how Jewish people were in Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
Which is like not just every single flavor and the extra long and then the fun size version of the fucking candy bar in particular. It's not just every shape and size of wrong. It's also just a fucking ridiculous statement. And look,
it is a ridiculous statement.
I mean,
it's not just
Disney,
that one thing, though. I mean,
historically hasn't exactly been great with the old anti-Semitism thing, because everybody knows how bad Walt Disney was with the whole anti-Semitism thing. So I can kind of understand that they're wanting to distance themselves as much as possible from that. But I personally think that cancel culture hasn't gone far enough. There are some absolutely atrocious and egregious characters that are still shoved into the mainstream. I mean, it was this was somewhat recent as well, where there was some lawsuit to do with Fox News, and basically the lawyer that was present that said that no one I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he said no one in their right mind takes Tucker Carlson seriously, or that everybody knows he's playing a character, but he's not though, and that's the point. It's some of the shit that he says, no, fuck it. Fuck him, cancel him. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, I don't I'm not a massive kind of proponent of cancel culture. I'm not in favor of canceling absolutely everybody for some stuff that I don't like, or that or that most people don't like. I'm not necessarily in favor of that, but at the same time, cancel culture has gotten people. And it isn't. I suppose it's kind of intertwined with, but not exactly, cancel culture. There are people Louis C.K. who got Me Too'd for asking people, can he, like, you know, jerk off in the same room as him? So he asked, so it wasn't necessarily, I don't think that he deserved to get Me Too. So that's the point, is that, like, there have been some people who have been, and like, what was that other guy? I can't think of his fucking name now. He was like an Indian actor, I think. I don't know. Anyway, basically that, like, she had like a ridiculously bad date with him, and like he got Me Too'd for it. So there have been people that have been Me Too'd or that have been cancelled that I don't necessarily agree with. But then again, there are also people that I think that should be cancelled that haven't been.
Yes.
Can we let Kevin speak?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Kevin?
You're muted, Kevin. Well, does Ricardo got anything he wants to put in while we wait on Kevin to get back?
Well, cancel culture. Yeah, I like cancel culture. I'm always getting in hot water because of it. Yeah, I don't think it is. I also don't think it is a free market thing. I don't agree with that part. It has nothing to do with free market. If you add ideas, the free market of ideas in the end, then maybe makes a little bit more of sense. But I don't think it is. I think it's in a way, in a kind of twisted way, is people getting the power back, because it's a power dynamic. You've got the big companies and the big agents in the market, and then people get together, a little bit like the gamer stock thing. People get together and then pressure those companies, and they inevitably they end up by canceling someone or terminating contracts or whatever, or changing their view on something. So I don't think it is a free market. I don't think it has anything to do with free market. But yeah, I like cancel culture. I think that it's not gone far enough. I think people should get more organized in the way that the cancel culture is used. On the other end, yeah, I've seen cancel culture being misused to do bad to people that just a group of just a specific group didn't like. So yeah, so there's also the other side of the coin too.
The problem is it forces people to put their name on a banner. It's the reason it works is companies don't tend to want to care to fight.
Yeah, but cancel culture forces the fight.
Yeah, no, that's why companies back down. That's why it works. It works too easily right now, because most companies don't want to back down, because they think they're going to take too big a hit, and very often they do take a big hit. But the point is, at the moment, I've watched people on the right. I haven't watched people on the left, but I think that's because of my age. Rather, it's not something I'm trying to say is unique. But I've watched people on the right take advantage of things they would not normally have access to reach people they would not have access to.
Carlton has a good litmus test for us, because maybe we're not all speaking about the same thing. Y'all want to everybody define what they think cancel culture means, so we can put a definition on it.
Yeah, well, who jumped in first? Brian, you jumped in first with it, so we'll go with that with you.
Okay, to me, cancel culture is when a individual is associated with something that makes them not marketable, something that their company feels that they would, whether they're an actor in a show, a musician, whether they're the CEO of a company, where they see this individual as a liability to their profit margins, where they want to have them removed from their production so that they don't damage the sales. Essentially, that's what cancel culture
I would
is.
have something similar. The cancel culture would be someone who is associated with a certain show or a certain product or a certain thing not having a very acceptable public image. And because of the public image and people is fighting back against that public image, then they are removed from the product or the show to increase and to continue on with its sales, its product, its show, its whatever.
I would say it's bigger than that. You're narrowing it down to people.
Well, let's let because both Ricardo and and Keela had
An opposite.
they were on the
view.
other side of the fence on it. So they sound like maybe one of you all want to give a definition from your perspective on that.
So, from my view, cancel culture, it's not even relating to people, and it's not even relating to companies. I think cancel culture is when a group of people or a group of persons will effectively remove another group or another person from the public square. So it doesn't necessarily has to do anything with market. It could be like, for instance, when we are on Twitter and we get cancelled, we usually tend to say that it's cancel culture and it's been signed off by Twitter, but it's not. It's just people getting someone that they don't like and literally.
Oh, sorry. That's the same thing, though, isn't it? Like, because like if you're on Twitter, then part of the appeal to other people to get on Twitter is the stuff that other people are saying on Twitter. And if you're saying a bunch of fucked up stuff that they don't want to be their image, then because that would keep people from getting their Twitter account and seeing the ads that their advertisers are paying them for. So it does link to market, even with things something like Twitter, right?
But I think that's the consequence. I don't think that cancel culture. That's not what it's going to define cancel culture. That's going to be the consequence of the people's actions. To me, cancel culture is one group against another type of scenario. So it doesn't necessarily have to have a company or an image or a product involved, if that makes sense. Getting kicked off of Twitter, like many people have been, or YouTube or whatever, it's the consequence of cancel culture, in my opinion.
See, for me, cancel culture is mob mentality. It is forcing an individual or a company, you can or argue company, but predominantly individuals who have a controversial perspective, the perspective you don't understand, and you as the mob cannot argue against. And so you actively seek to remove them from social and professional circles. That for me is cancel culture.
Okay, I have to disagree with that. The reason for it, it implies that cancel culture, it's always going to be bad because it's someone forcing their will on another person or another group, and I don't think that's really the case, because or it doesn't necessarily need to be the case. Although yes, I admit that it has been used as you described many times, probably more than it should. But it's still, I see it as a net result if we are taking off the public square and reducing the spread of hate speech. Then it's still a net positive. So I feel that it's just my opinion, but I feel that definition could be.
See, I don't see.
But
I don't
what
see.
gets cancelled?
Hang on, I don't see the removal of hate speech, as cancel culture. That is just because freedom of speech or whatever is not freedom from consequence.
Right, I'm going to go down a difficult route here. Right? Who here knows why Milo was cancelled?
Milo Yiannopoulos Volodis or whatever?
About the pederasty thing?
He made racist remarks.
Say again? No,
He made
remarks.
Yeah, he made
remarks about people coming on to him when he was underage.
Yeah, and he basically said that that if a priest gets sexually involved with a minor, that it can I don't know. Kind of trying to paraphrase, trying to remember it. He basically said that it can, I don't know, it can help him grow or something to that effect. That it can be a long-term benefit, basically.
Because it was to him.
Yeah,
he literally, it's in his book about him.
Yeah.
Right, and he was cancelled because he was called a paedophile for this. Right, now he wasn't. He was cancelled because he was a right-wing. This was one of these situations. He was cancelled because he was a right-wing provocateur. He was cancelled because there was a lot of people out to get him, and they found something to get him on.
Well, look, okay, would I have labelled him a paedophile for kind of saying that? No, but it's sort of he was, in a very roundabout way, he was sort of encouraging that behavior because he was promoting it as a positive and not.
So he can't tell his story anymore.
No, of
It
course.
had nothing to do.
Of
It
course
had
he can
nothing
tell
to
his
do
story.
with his job. I mean, the guy's an arsehole. I completely agree he's an arsehole. I think there were lots of reasons to cancel him. I don't think that was one.
Okay, yeah, but here's the difference though. So you can tell your story, right? So you can say, you know, that like this happened to me, right? And you know that like even if you go so far as to say that, you know, in the long run it did kind of benefit me in a weird way, but to try and suggest that it's going to be the same thing for everybody else, that's just fucked up. To try and suggest
That happens
that like
constantly.
what?
Happens constantly. There's an entire generation that says they were beaten as kids and it made them stronger.
Mm-hmm.
It's sold as a positive. There's books all about it.
Yeah, but they're
Can I
still
just-
wrong though.
Can I just ask a question? Was Milo, was Milo cancelled because of the book or because of the podcast? Because I
It
might
was
be
specifically
wrong.
to do with that reference because that's as soon as they managed to get the word paedophile in there,
Yeah,
the
because
mob went because that is a trigger word.
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem that I see with cancer culture. It doesn't matter what the scandal is or what. Sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes it's justified. Okay, I completely agree with that. But it doesn't seem that, for the most part, in cancel culture, it doesn't really matter what the controversy is, as long as the result comes out the same, that they're cancelled, and that they can hop on the bandwagon. And that's the problem. Instead of actually, because you have movements, social movements, real important social movements like the Me Too, and consequences finally happen.
You can't say that.
Hang on.
You can't say that.
Hang on. Yes, I can. Let me finish the fucking sentence, and then you can say that I can't say that. You have
Cancel
important.
it.
Shut up. You have important social movements coming up, and then you have certain things that are coming up, and people don't even know the story around it. They just want to hop on the bandwagon. So they don't understand not all the Me Too movement. I'm not talking about that, but there's other movements that are happening, or there's cancel culture that's happening, and some people don't care what the controversy is. They're just hopping on the bandwagon because it's something to be outraged about. That's what I have a problem with.
Right, that's true, but the problem is the Me Too movement is exactly the point. It is very much cancel culture. It might be right. It might attack the right people, it might bring down the right people, and it does let people tell their story. But it is 100% cancel culture. And the mob jumps straight on it.
Is that not like a secondary effect of the Me Too movement though, for kind of talking about like the positives that they've done? And I have my issues with the Me Too movement, but like, was it not like initially kind of set up to like call out or to hold like the powerful to account, and
But I
then
think that's
like
what happens
a
with all
result
of it.
afterwards that happened like as soon as, so obviously the most kind of high profile one was Harvey Weinstein. So as soon as like he was kind of called out, right, and as soon as all of this kind of came about and like everybody started talking about him, and all of this evidence and all of this like everything kind of came up about him, it was like a secondary, like it happened after he was called out that he was cancelled. So like I wouldn't necessarily say it's like an effect of the Me Too movement, but yeah, I would just say that like that's not one of the goals of the Me Too movement, is to cancel people. It's to hold people to account, and then people
That's
just cancel them afterwards,
when
after all of
holding-
the allegations are out there.
That's all cancel culture is, though. Trying to mostly to try and hold people to account.
Yeah, but there's a different reason, or there's like a different motivation behind the Me Too movement. Like, it's not just going out there to like try and dig up dirt on somebody to get them cancelled. It's to dig up dirt on someone to hold them to account because they were a piece of shit earlier in life. Like that's what the Me Too movement is kind of there for, or like what it was supposed to be there for. But yeah, it like, I would just kind of say that like as soon as the public kind of becomes aware or like knows, okay, so like X person did A, B, C, D, E, like, okay, like that's kind of fucked up. We shouldn't be allowing this. So no, screw them. like cancel it. Like that would happen afterwards, but that wouldn't necessarily be like the goal of the Me Too movement.
Not sure.
Sorry, go on ahead, Dave.
I was going to say we're probably better to step slightly away from Me Too.
Yeah, I was just thinking
because cancel culture is just one thing that could fall under this blanket of the subject matter for tonight: problems in society.
Yes.
I just it was good. We had some good friction there at the beginning of the show. Let's move on to a different one though, kind of mix things up a little bit. Anybody got any? You all said religion. Is that specifically Christianity, or do you want to extend it to Islam? And if so, which one do you think is a bigger problem overall?
Islam is a bigger problem.
Overall, yeah.
Yes, not because Islam is well. I tell you what it is. Islam is as big a problem as evangelicalism is in the States.
Fundamentalism is the problem.
Say again.
Right.
Fundamentalism is the problem.
Yes. Well, the point is, I would go further with Islam because the indoctrination at childhood is the issue.
Yeah, we have that too in Catholicism. Like,
it's not. Yes, but it's not the same.
Are you kidding me? Hang on, whoa. No, it's probably not. But my niece was taken out of school, marched single file into the church with her hands folded, and she couldn't take her hands apart. From the time she left her class till the time she got into her seat, and the priest told her she can take her hands apart. Like, come on, that's indoctrination.
It is. I don't disagree,
Yes.
but I mean, I can tell you what happened to me at school. I mean, I'm a cripple. I was forced to stand because I was supposed to stand for hours because the class had done something wrong. And this was after my knees had gone, and that was not religious. These things happen regardless.
Well, so I think in both Islam and Christianity, there's degrees too. Not every church is going to be to the same degree because, we got Christians like like Spartan. They're pretty relaxed in their practice, but you got extreme ones. I mean, I've met some really relaxed Muslims, but I've met some extreme ones. So I mean, as far as the volume of the negative sects, I guess, and I don't want to identify any specific one, at least as far as Muslims. I'm not familiar with them. I know that's more of something you all deal with over on the European side. So, I mean, not that we don't deal with some Muslim and some of their extremist groups in the U.S. It's just we deal with a lot more evangelical, fundamental, dogmatic.
You say that we don't actually have an Islam problem over here.
No,
that's how it's portrayed. No, not at all.
That's what our media tells us, though. I'm sure Randall will back me up on that.
You have more of an evangelical problem than we have an Islam problem. It's the only reason I consider Islam to be a bigger threat is the indoctrination, and it is growing. It's not that it's a threat. It's not that it's a problem now. It's a problem that we are going to have to confront at some point. At some point, we are going to have to turn around and say, these are what we think are human rights, and they're going to disagree.
Right.
Right. And evangelicals are the same. You see what they are trying to force on you. And they don't give a shit.
Their pushback over here is, and it's been a 50, 60 year camp since the at least the early 60s that they've been pushing to make to get more and more Protestant leaders or Baptists especially into the highest offices they can in this country. They're trying to vote us out. They're trying to vote everybody else out, give us their theocracy. So I'm with you on that. I think that, but I'm biased because I'm in the U.S.
Does anyone think that Islam is a problem in the EU at the moment, particularly?
Not in Northern Ireland.
Nope, not really. I think fucking fundamentalist Christians are more of a problem, particularly in Hungary, because you have the rise of fascists, and even in Poland, they're falling hard on the nearly evangelical Christianity. So that's a problem.
And oddly enough, I find Catholicism worse in a lot of respects because they've got a level of confusion that adherents don't seem to talk. I can talk to an evangelical. I can argue with an evangelical because it's shallow. The depth of their belief is very shallow. Whereas with Catholicism, when people that are devout Catholics, they just keep going, spewing and spewing 1,000 years of repeating the same dogmatic nonsense built on top of it, like it means something. And there doesn't seem to be a way. I think it's a miracle Catholics leave. Whereas evangelicals, you've just got to pitch away at science. Eventually, the cracks will fall.
That is one thing. Sorry, go on ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that it becomes an ultimate problem when, for instance, like with the JWs, they are so dogmatic and so indoctrinated that they believe that the entire world is controlled by Satan, which includes authority. So they won't go to the police to report things because they think the police are controlled by Satan. That's when, which is why they have such an issue with child sex abuse and things being, domestic violence being underreported, because they've been taught that they can't trust authority. They can't trust therapists and doctors. And that just becomes so dangerous.
I think that has to do with anything outside of the JWs. I mean, perhaps it's worse there, but you're talking about anything appealing higher to the authority of God is not right for most of these religions. Therefore, whether it be not trusting authority or downright rejecting them in any sense because your church leaders and your God need to be, number one, is a dangerous combination.
I mean, at least with the Muslims, that is their law. Their religion is also their law. So it's not, the authority is what's in charge. And I think that's sort of just a major difference with their particular sect anyway.
Saudi Arabia is the only theocracy that's currently still not defunct yet, isn't it?
Technically, aren't we a theocracy? No. No. Which is...
Yeah, I mean, they're not necessarily theocracies, but they're if you want to call it secular law, but their law is still heavily dictated by their religion.
Oh yeah, I think you can look back at, and it's been kind of a recent development because you can look back at pictures from the 70s from Iran and stuff where the women had their freedom and didn't have to cover their faces, and then slowly over the next quarter of a century, just everybody's oppressed now.
Yeah, I sort of get this sense that with the onset of the internet and the information age and people being able to research things themselves, we're slowly getting this waking up, and it feels like religions all over the world are trying to tighten their grip. They sort of feel
but they're winning.
Well, they are winning. They are winning.
You try and research evolution now. The top records that come up most of the time are creationist stuff.
See, that's the problem I wanted to bring up as a problem with society, is the fact that, as Sammy pointed out, anybody now has the internet and can go forward and can research now. The problem that we have in the education system is people will go and research, but as Dave says, you go out, the first thing you hit is creationism there. That's what you're going to get hit with more of. So you can do your own research all you want, but it's being able to tell the difference between what is bullshit and what is
Problem
not.
is they've got an aim. They've got a specific aim when they come to it, as opposed to just educating someone about evolution. They're trying to manipulate it.
I think the problem is a lot of the colloquial terms that we use, you're not going to get good quality result hits using those terms, because the colloquial terms are the ones that the creationist ministries, the AIG and
would
places
say
like
that you're an
they want to
evolutionist.
use. What's that?
You would say that you're an evolutionist.
Well, yeah. Well, say I wouldn't call myself an evolutionist. That's the thing. That's exactly right. And if you look up evolution, what you're going to get those creationist hits, because when someone's actually putting on a paper that covers the topic of evolution, they'll talk about allele frequencies within a isolated population or something like that. They'll use the proper terminology for the specific.
No one studies evolution now.
What's that?
Nobody studies evolution. It's too big. There are fields
Right.
all over the place
Within.
that make up this thing we call evolution, but no one studies evolution now. The only thing you really see it in is evolutionary models that are studied,
Which are built over multiple disciplines too.
Yes, again, which is exactly the problem. It's not simple, which is why they are able to. Well, you know what? We're basically back to fake news.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not about whether it's true, it's whether you can convince people that it's true.
Yes, that's the problem. People don't know. You just need you need to be charismatic and have enough this, that, and the other behind you. You don't actually have to have credibility now to be listened to be taken seriously. You don't have to have a background in that study. You don't have to. People just, they fall in line. People fall in line very, very quickly.
But people are going to want the simplest solution, something they could wrap their head around, and sometimes you can't give them that. There's not a simple way to explain certain biological phenomenon.
You're saying a tree turned into a monkey.
Right. That's what they get. I could spend 2 hours talking to someone and they walk away with that. Pine trees and elephants.
That's what it was. Yeah, pine trees and elephants.
But where do you go from there? Because you can, I could explain speciation and variation in allele frequencies. We could look at the DNA structure and how it changes over various generations. We can look at the fossil record and go through the geological column and look at the more basal forms becoming more and more complex as they move up through the column. And we can go through all of that, and what they walk away with is, so you think pine trees are related to elephants? That's what do you do with that?
Information.
I propose cancel culture.
Yes.
Cancel all creationists.
Oh,
do you take it to its extreme though? As Dave says, what we're doing is right and what we think is right, and what these people we should get rid of. But that's our opinion, and that's what we think. And okay, we think we are correct, and I agree that we are. I'm totally on that side. Our thoughts are right, and what we think should go. So should I just?
We doubt ourselves.
What?
That's the difference right now. Is everything we as a community think we know, we doubt.
Well, this is what I wanted to ask you, Dave. This is what I wanted to ask you, Dave. Taking it to an extreme, if we are correct and we know what's right for everybody, should we just make it a dictatorship then and put you in charge?
The problem with a dictatorship, you can have a nice dictatorship, but it doesn't. As soon as you've got to have any
Can
sort
you show
of
me one?
No. My point is, ideally, you can have one, but the problem you've got is you can create a nice society that treats everyone right, and as soon as the person that is benevolently in charge has got to hand over power, all they have to hand over power to is people that want power, and they will do anything to get it. It can't continue. You basically, the only way you can have a dictatorship that can continue is what they've got in North Korea, where the amount of hold that you have on society is so great that there is basically no functioning thinking.
Exactly.
In your society.
We don't need a system where the opinion of the ruling class is law, though. I mean, I don't agree with that. I do agree that creationists should be able to be creationist, but I think that we should challenge them anytime they try to bring it into the public square.
Well, this is the problem. This is the problem that I have with cancel culture. because by removing them from the public sphere, by removing them from YouTube, from removing them from the mainstream, what you are doing is you are pushing those ideas underground. People are still going to have them, but you're not able to challenge them in a proper way because you're not able to gauge the extent of them.
Yeah.
This is one of the problems that I have with cancel culture, because you're not actually able to hold those conversations. You're not able to have those debates because you're too worried about being fucking right and being politically correct and being
there's also the fear. There's also the fear.
Feeling like you've won.
There's also the fear that the other side might win.
Well, the studies are not in on this right now, but we know for a fact that allowing Flat Earth to exist on YouTube with its algorithm working as standard has systematically increased the number of flat earthers.
That's
exposing people that don't know how to deal with it to bad ideas will convert them.
And you know what else has happened in that process? Science creators have had to adapt the way in which they speak to ordinary people, which they hadn't had to before, in order to reach those more emotional, susceptible.
Made a difference. It's YouTube basically deplatforming them that's made the difference.
That's what I was going to say. Is that do you think YouTube sort of had a part in, I guess, cancel culture itself, in that so many terms have been unacceptable, that have or would have helped in the atheism cause, and just critical thinking in general. It's become so
that's what I
hard
see
to talk
as a
about
problem.
anything.
The problem is that the church, all the churches have got a labor force of people that will make videos, make articles, make content for them.
Big fake science.
That they, on a scale that we cannot compete with. It's one of those things over and over again when new content creators come along and say, well, I'm just making the same stuff that other people are making. I'm just doing the same stuff that other people. So do it your own way. Make exactly the same stuff over and over again. Because we need to compete with them. And that's all they're doing. And they are doing it on a massive scale. And they are winning. Again, they are winning.
It falls down to the point, as you said, Dave, is that they're winning because it had to be got rid of. The YouTube with the flat earth and things like that, it had to get rid of because the algorithm running as it was winning. Because people don't have the basic skills.
No.
Regardless of where it came from, whether it was indoctrination in this religion or that religion, or you grew up without a TV and a radio and your mummy just let you read, whatever it was, you don't have the basic skills to tell the difference. So the problem I see with cancel culture and getting rid of them is, as Crafty says, it goes underground. These people still want to watch that content, still want to interact and learn more from these. So they will go to a different platform and watch that person there. The problem
they will die out if they don't have a platform. This is the problem, right?
But they do have a platform.
They always will have another platform to go to.
Their own platform, Dave.
They can make their own platform, but people won't go. This is this has been tested over and over again. Crafty was right pre-internet. Crafty was right.
Yeah.
Because the amount of spread an idea could have, was minimal.
Yeah.
What about Parler? Think about something like Parler. That thing took off. I mean,
Parler will die. Parler will die. I guarantee it. Right? All of them do.
And something else will take its place, and something else will then take its place, and something else will then take its place. And it'll die. But these people are determined. So these people will then move from platform to platform because they still want it. The problem we have is we need to get rid of these people's want and desire and think that this is correct. We need to show the problem with it.
I totally agree, but the point is you can't do that when they are not interested in learning. Basically in learning, right? The YouTube algorithm, the YouTube, the Flat Earth has not been removed from YouTube. They're just not getting recommended, so they're hopefully getting more recommended slightly more scientific stuff,
Well, I mean, they've a lot of them have been taken off YouTube because flat Earth is just one conspiracy, and if you believe in flat Earth, it's not a big jump to being an anti-masker, and if you come out with anti-masker, anti-COVID stuff, you're going to get fucking deleted. That's just what they're doing right now, and so that's why a lot of the flat Earth content creators, that's why a lot of them have been removed.
But not even that they've been removed as well. They haven't also been removed. Me and Dave had a small little mini celebration when fucking Richie from Boston with, 400,000 subscribers. He was cancelled. His main channel was cancelled. But he knew that this was gone, so he had a backup one. And then as soon as he started the backup one, he started another one just in case as well. So every time he got cancelled, they just moved down the line.
Yeah.
It's the same platform, and okay, he maybe lost 100,000 subscribers, but it's still 300,000 people that's fucking watching him spout this shit. It's a small.
The problem is he attracts normal people. That's with being on YouTube. Being a small fish on YouTube, you attract more people than being a massive fish on another platform. Right, and that's why the other platforms fail. They go niche, then they just become arseholes that no one wants to hang around with, and they fall out and it dies. And we've seen it in community after community after community. Right, you have to have broad appeal for a platform to succeed.
Well, there's places where this it's been for, like Tioga was saying out there, like slash Paul or anything on 4chan really. These places, these little corners, there's corners of Reddit. I guess Reddit's a little better policed now than it used to be, but there's always they've been there since the early days of the internet, and they haven't gone anywhere. So yeah, Parler died out because
normal people don't go there. That's the difference. The arsehole, the conspiracy theorists go there. The arseholes go to their bit.
I go to 4chan for porn, but that's completely separate.
The point is, attracting people, they've already got to be interested. Yeah, so those platforms, they've got to be interested. Sorry, go on.
It's the point that I was going to kind of bring up, right? So, like, everybody has kind of talked about, that, like, there's, like, all these, like, flat earths and all this, like, sort of stuff, right? They are typically much more conspiracy, like, minded or conspiracy friendly just in general, right? So, they like have this idea that that like big tech is trying to like censor them or is trying to cancel them or anything else like that. But like, so why they're doing it is because it's misinformation or because it's disinformation, right? So like that's the actual reason. But the problem with it is, and the problem with everybody who is subbed to a channel who like talks about flat Earth all the time, or with any other kind of like anything else like that. The problem with cancelling them is it gives them the opportunity to speak to other people who are also like in the mindset of being like convinced by a conspiracy theory. They're able to say, well, the reason why we were cancelled is because we were right and because we were spreading the message that you're not supposed to talk about, right? That's what they'll say, but it and then the fact that they get cancelled again, it like continues to bolster this idea that they're right and that big tech is just trying to censor them. So it kind of spreads, and it allows this idea of like people who are.
But I say that's a big tech not moderating properly problem. They should be being cancelled as soon as they break the terms of service. And they're not.
Which is true, but what I'm saying is that like why they will kind of go to other platforms is because they'll be like, okay, well, that like these guys are not afraid of like censoring the truth, right? Or their version of what the truth is.
The problem with that though is that an echo chamber like complete nothingness is absolutely unsustainable. Especially when it comes to stuff like social media, where this is a place of discourse and something, when you have a community that it basically is out there to make waves, to push against, the norm, so to speak, but they're set on their own, just like how Parler, I'm sure it was great for the right to begin with, but they got there and they had nobody to fucking argue with. And there was no point to that anymore. So
exactly.
Moving anybody over because they've been canceled or whatever to their own platform and they're stuck with themselves for a while, yeah, it might have a beginning, but like Dave said, it'll peter out eventually. It doesn't work.
And you tell me whether this was the YouTube algorithm or myself, but I was quite into conspiracy, even to the point where I sort of started watching Alex Jones stuff, all that Illuminati crap, which led to this is my story, right? Which led to YouTube suggested Rob Skiba, which is a Christian who believes that giants were real and there's a firmament, and he's a flat earther as well. But his videos suggested Richard Carrier, who sort of got me right away from all the conspiracy stuff. And his videos led to Bart Ehrman, who then led to Non Sequitur and Aaron Ra and MathPig, and here I am today, what I consider completely indoctrinated, completely woken up. And it is literally thanks to that progression of interests and how YouTube led me through from the whack to you guys.
So we can make a statement that Richard Carrier got you off the whack.
Yeah.
I don't.
That makes an interesting question.
Sorry, man.
Are we really arguing?
Let Manda go first, Dave, and then you can go ahead.
Normally, the algorithm is what it is part of what's contributed so much of this, spread of conspiracy theories. Because what happens in things like YouTube and even Twitter and stuff like that, you start looking at one and it suggests more, and you're already psychologically susceptible to beliefs in a certain way. The way conspiracy theories work, it has to do with the fact that you can't, not being able to comprehend a simple answer to a big question in your own mind. So if you have that sway in one direction, it's easier to believe something else. So it continues to suggest to you different conspiracy theories, which you will continue to feed into.
Thankfully, I was swayed in the right direction, and I had enough critical. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Well, this is my question. The question I was going to ask is, and this could potentially have the biggest impact on basically everything we have discussed tonight. Should YouTube is probably the biggest one. Other social media companies that create content in that fashion have a name that says that they should do, that they should be trying to improve society, that they should be trying to move society. But the part of me, I think if they start doing that straight away, the evangelicals and the fundamentalists will run away screaming.
Well, I wonder if they sort of compartmentalized it. So you have to go to the Christian channel of YouTube if you want to watch that. It's not suggested to you as such.
Well, I don't know how you would know.
Well, as in categories, like you'd have to go to categories or do a search specifically.
It goes very
generally
much
watching the content that I watch, though, I would at least get promoted some sort of Christian stuff quite regularly. I would wonder if the other side would be promoted to the atheist side. Now, the problem with that is there's not as much of us. So as a demographic on YouTube, as a section to be promoted on YouTube, there's not enough of us to be a percentage-wise. There's an awful lot more Christians out there. But
we're also not interested in our own content. Christians watch Christian content.
I noticed that
atheists.
A lot of the feature like we use for Christian on atheist videos, but not yet. Like when they show ads.
Your audio's cutting out pretty bad there, Kevin.
Oh, sorry.
Was it just on my end?
I can't even see Kevin. Did he get added? He's not in my hangout.
Yeah, no, the audio is pretty bad, Kevin.
I can hear you guys, but I guess you can't hear me. Sorry.
You're choppy as hell, man. Choppy as hell.
crackly.
Try your ground wires and you gain.
He has a good computer. He just needs better internet. Ricardo, have you anything to add on what we're talking about now?
I think it's a numbers game. I'm not sure if I think that the way to go is to get like channels or specific categories on YouTube and other platforms, so that you go specifically to one place to get a particular subject or something like that. I tend to be more of in that regard. I tend to be a little bit more of a generalist in a sense. I would want, if someone who is promoting flat Earth that is demonstrably false, you can say that, or you cannot promote that, so you're out, kind of scenario. Okay, you can still have that thought that the Earth is flat. Okay, to each its own, but it's false. We all know that it's false, so you're out. You're not going to be able to be on YouTube. I don't think that that's going to bring them underground, and they're going to spread underground and become this major force that we're going to have to contend later. Because, like Amanda said, they will be there in their own.
The problem is you instantly hit creationism.
It's what?
You instantly hit creationism, where a company would have to make a decision about whether or not the Earth is 6,000 years old.
Yeah,
it's demonstrably false. You cannot say that. You're out.
But if a company has to make that decision, they are going to lose a ton of money.
Yeah, but the problem is I agree that the religion is a problem, because usually the fan fiction boys, they will only watch fan fiction content. So that's, I don't know how to get around that. I admit that I don't know. But if there is if it is a creationist and it gets off YouTube, I don't see that as a problem. As long as if there is a Christian apologist, yeah, carry on. You're wrong, but it's a religion. It's a different concept. It's not demonstrably false. Not like creationist that says it's 6,000 years old. We can demonstrate that is false.
But that's their religious belief.
But that's still demonstrably wrong.
Randy, you have something to say?
Yes, when it comes to these privatized companies, they do not care who believes what. They have these, you're all talking about the numbers game and everything. Well, they have the algorithms designed after their logarithms, which can lean in one direction or another. And how companies make their money is what's currently trending. They have people specifically watching these numbers so they can see what's trending. And sometimes they have to cut it off. It might be too vulgar or just too out there or whatever. However, and all these things are tied into all these idealisms that wind up on channels like, you know, YouTube or whatever, is part of capitalism, which is nowadays is political apologetics, in order to sway people in their emotions and what they think and everything, and towards trickle-down economics. And that's why these great big companies and everything allow a lot of stupid crap, because a lot of more stupid people will go, ha ha ha, let's watch this, rather than, oh no, I got to go back to school and study something smart. They'd rather watch something completely stupid. That's why you got stupid channels with millions of followers, and then we got all of us, you know, we might be lucky to get a couple thousand. That's why. Money. It's, you know, controlling emotions through algorithms and logarithms.
I think they got a lot of more financial backing on that side of things too. As far as the religious stuff goes, like apologetic people, they're gonna have money behind that, whereas most of us are independent.
Yeah, but it's true. If you remove the money, religions and apologists, they will carry on because they have the backing of the churches, the big buck. But the smaller stuff like flat earthers and anti-vaxxers and all of the, you know, the rest.
Well, you think they canceling ideas like that are trying to dispel ideas like that, it would be all around a good step. But then you get things like Q, because Q was the response to the suppression of all this Donald Trump crap, and it went underground and exploded. It didn't go underground and like fizzle out. It went underground, and next thing we know, we have an army marching towards our capital. So
led by a QAnon guy.
Yeah,
I liked what Randy said, that capitalism is the apologetics of politics, and I'm going to paraphrase him and say that Q is the apologetics of stupid. There's really nothing on Q. I've seen the first Q drops. I've followed the Q drops for a while, and there's really nothing there. So I think there's a great big group of people, and unfortunately, at least two of them are now in Congress, that don't have anything to say, and found in Q a way to emotionally control the people to get a vote. But that's just my opinion. But I think, yeah, Q is like the apologetics of stupid.
Such low hanging fruit, man.
Yeah.
You're one of the few to notice that, though, Ricardo. That's the problem. You're small percentage. You know, that's why we are the small percentage, because we are, you know, up our own asses, but we're fantastic and great, and we think logically and critically, and we know all the right answers. A lot of people aren't, though.
Yeah, but that's because then
the likes of YouTube. When people go to YouTube, they're looking for entertainment. They're not looking for fact. They've been serious for their entire day. They've been in work, or they've been looking after the kids, and they're looking for escapism.
That's why I try to sneak it in.
Yeah. And so what tends to happen is they look, and I've spoken to flat earthers, I've spoken to apologists, and what happens a lot of the time is they'll look at these things and they'll laugh and they'll think, oh, you know, I'll be able to debunk this, I'll be able to set these right. But they're not, because of the way a lot of public schools are structured. They're not given the tools to be able to do that. So what tends to happen is, because a lot of people that are going on YouTube looking for escapism are emotionally based creatures, all of a sudden they start listening to that emotional framework of a lot of conspiracy videos. And they do a very, very good job at talking to people on their level. So that's how a lot of people get sucked in.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people get sucked in. That actually makes sense to me. And what's interesting, because I came into the debunk community nearly a year ago, actually, because I had a person in my house who believed in a lot of the conspiracy theories. And he didn't get them, weirdly enough, he didn't get them from YouTube. He got them from people around him, probably watching YouTube, but he got them from his friends. So he was anti-vaxxer. He was flat earther. He was, what other conspiracies? There was a load of crap that came out.
Bill Gates and 5G.
In the 6 weeks that he stayed at my house. Now, I'm not based in math or science. I'm going to say that right now. I've said it since day one. I'm not a big math person. So part of what I try to do, because I have the emotional side, being the sociologist, I have the stories, I have why socially these bullshit theories don't work. But I didn't have the science and math. So I started looking up whether or not there were science creators that were willing to explain things in a very simple way. And I found people like Conspiracy Cat, OldMan Dan, and a few others, right? And when I went to this person and I used those scientific and math arguments, they didn't work. Do you know why? Because, again, his mind did not work on logic. It was not logically driven.
Yeah.
It was emotion driven. And so when I started I took a step back, this isn't working. So I started telling stories. Every time he would come up with a conspiracy, I would tell him a story from my own life, or from a friend's life, or from whatever, to explain why this idea is great in theory, but it doesn't work in practice. And when he walked out of that house after 6 weeks, he no longer believed in flat earth. He no longer was an anti-vaxxer. What was the other big one? There was another big one that he absolutely went crazy for. But I didn't get all of them out of his head, but he went away with a different perspective. But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I just told him to shut the fuck up, like every other host that he'd went to told him to do. They were unable to actually have those conversations with him. You know, so a lot of people, when they do get into the conspiracy driven, even to some extent the more fundamentalist Christian videos, it's because they're looking for escapism. They're not looking for fact. They're not looking for intelligence. They're looking at someone to point and laugh at. And then they find, shit, I'm not smarter than this person, so therefore what they're saying must be true, because they're speaking in an emotional way that makes sense to me. That's how a lot of people get duped. And it's not from a lack of intelligence either. It's just a different way of thinking.
As a personal experience, now I've told this to Amanda, and everybody here will probably give me dog's abuse. I think I've mentioned it to Dave as well. But there was a period when I came across, what do you call him, Jordan Peterson, for about 2 months, where I did follow his stuff and did find it entertaining and did think that he was, you know, this man has an awful lot to say. And then you do a wee bit of more research, and obviously everybody knows where I stand now in the man. But, you know, as Keely says, you watch it for entertainment and this, that and the other. The first thing I started watching was his description of the Bible and bringing apart that lecture series, because that's what I'm interested in, and that's what, you know, it caught me in that. And then, obviously, as I say, I am where I am now. I'm not going to promote the man anymore. But you start with the entertainment factor. You bring them in there. That's what gets me in a lot of information. It's how I learn on YouTube. Is I watch something for entertainment first, and then I can go a wee bit further because I have the ground knowledge. But you start with entertainment. Nothing will promote here unless it's entertaining for people to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, I mean, I sort of forgot to mention them, but these guys have probably been there from the start. People like Logic, Vice Rhino, Professor Stick,
Dark Matter 2525.
Dark Matter. They
Oh,
make
yeah.
it entertaining, so they do have that effect of you know, bringing you in. But I think we've sort of hit on a theme here, where it comes down to, like with my progression, I was obviously, I don't think it was just luck. I think there's an element of I'm watching something, or, you know, going down a certain rabbit hole, and YouTube's suggesting the opposite, the debunk of the thing that I'm looking at. It's whether I click on that, whether I'm genuinely want to know, is this real, or whether I just want to believe it. And the fact that I didn't just want to believe anything, I just wanted to know what the hell was true.
And be entertained. It's got to be entertaining.
And be entertained at the same time. Yeah.
What you're basically saying is we need more He-Man with a moral message at the end.
Exactly. Or just that.
Was He-Man an atheist? Did he not believe in
I'm
God?
realizing how important education is, and just teaching people that critical thinking skills, to not accept stuff so readily because it feels good, to actually look into things. And I'm just lucky the way I was raised. Even though I was being indoctrinated, we were still taught to be very intelligent. We had a good grasp of English and things like that. So I had
knowing
some
English does not
tools
make
to
you fucking
work
intelligent.
but I had tools to work with, where if you don't have those tools,
like anybody here who knows, Pork Granny is what I would refer to as a spiritual Christian. You know, Jesus is everywhere and don't need a building and all that, but still a Christian at her core beliefs. But she raised me, and I've been quote unquote an atheist since about 11 or 12. You know, we went to different churches. She bought me the Hardy Boys, you know, detective things, and I still have up the stairs 500 questions and answers. That's one of the first books she got me whenever I was getting into reading and things like that. It's being given the ground and the foundation of being able to think logically to the end course from start to finish. Does it make sense? Interacting with someone, referring back to what Crafty was saying earlier with the person who came and stayed with her. I've had a recent interaction with a person in the real world where I just happened to mention science or something like that with the whole Mars thing that was going on, and they quoted Job to me. Now, you know, this person is later on in life, but it was the what is it, BrainBug? The world sort of floats on whatever the fuck it is, or whatever
Job, Job. Is Job where the earth is flat, right?
No, it said something about floating or hovering or whatever, and in nothing, and it was sort of implying gravity with nothing. And I was like, you realize what you just said is a contradiction? And he was like, no, I understand gravity. And I turned to him and I was like, do you think the world's flat? And he was like, no, of course not. The world's round. He was like, I'm not stupid. I look up things. And I was like, but you still just made a contradictory statement to me. And it's not realizing that statement and what they say, because it just makes sense colloquially. It makes sense to most people. It's easy. It's juddering, it's pushing away. And
what does that got to do with Mars, though? Did Job's face look like the surface of Mars or something, and just reminded him of it?
No, we were just talking about science in general and what was going on. I can't generally remember the conversation, Randy, to be honest now.
Do you think that person accepted like biological evolution and stuff like that?
No, that person does not accept evolution. That person, I have had this slight conversation with me, and what he said was, if we evolved from monkeys, why do monkeys still exist?
Oh.
And when he said to me, did we evolve from monkeys? And my response was, yes, we evolved from old world monkeys, then into great apes, and now we're humans. And I was like, genetics can prove that. And he was like, no.
Yeah, Gutsick Gibbon has lots of videos that prove that. So send him that way.
There's always someone. There's always someone. When I was filming for a movie last year, one of the helpers on the set was telling me that, I don't believe in evolution. That's all a big lie. We're closely related to pigs more than we are monkeys. And I said, well, speak for yourself. And stay away from the cookies, man.
I think that is the problem. I think that is the problem, as I say. People don't have that foundation of the logical thinking. It's always, as I've said, we don't need to teach people what to think. We need to teach people how to think.
Yeah, just to...
Job,
Ricardo, go on ahead.
Job 26, verse 7. He spreads out the northern skies over empty space. He suspends the earth over nothing.
That's what it was.
Gravity.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, he suspends
Gravity.
it over nothing.
It's crazy that person has that memorized for that conversation, because, like, it
was just that one phrase, though. He didn't. He said it to me in a biblical term. He says, as the Bible says, it's suspended in nothing. And I was like, yeah, what? And he went, Job. And I was like, yes, because the oldest book in the Bible probably knows the most about what's going on in the physical world today.
You should have said, dude, the earth isn't suspended, it's falling.
In saying that, man, if I make a mistake, this guy's the one that cuts the extra piece of steel to cover my ass, so I have to sort of keep him happy.
Falling? Which way is it falling?
Got ya.
Has anybody anything else that they would like to add or so? We've been going for about an hour and a half or so. I think this has been a great conversation. We just need one more person to top out at 30 people watching. Go on, one more person. Open up an ad tab there, Dave. Has anybody else any other problems in society that we can fix?
There's a lot of problems, but whether we can fix them or not is a big fucking question.
One thing in Northern Ireland, I don't know, I'm pretty sure it's the same down in Ireland as well, in the real Ireland, as some people refer to it, is the segregation.
Which I'm not one.
I never said you were. You just love to get the segregation in education from the get-go. Over here we have Catholic and Protestant splits, we have boys and girls split. It just creates divide, it creates problems. The fact that the Catholic Church is in control of an awful lot of schools over here, and you must have a partial religious degree to even be able to teach math in a Catholic school over here. That's one of the problems that I have, and definitely needs to be changed.
That's silly.
So we're not quite as extreme down here. We do have denominational schools, but the problem with our schools is because for a long time being Irish was to be Catholic. There's still a loophole in the public schools that you must have a spot open on your board of management for a clergy member, which is very fucking dangerous. So basically Catholicism still has dominance over Irish public schools. And now the biggest problem in the last 10 years that we've really started to have a conversation about over the last 7, I think, or 6, is that they will take preference in public schools. This is not the denominational schools. In public schools, the rate at which they will accept, the way in which the criteria for accepting a child. Firstly, they have to live in the area. Secondly, they have to have a birth cert. Nobody sees a problem with this. Nobody sees a problem with this. They have to have a Catholic birth cert.
Well, you see, that's the thing, Crafty. They don't realise that outside of over Northern Ireland, like I mentioned this before on stream, that our religion was actually put on the birth certificate. And whenever my wee girl was born, just for anyone who hasn't mentioned, a really short one, whenever she was born in Northern Ireland, it's Londonderry for Protestants and the city of Derry for Catholics, for the same place. It's how they name it. And whenever we said Catholic on the birth certificate,
we have it on our birth certificate. The third thing is you have to have a baptismal cert.
Seriously.
You have to have a baptism. So it goes in those 3 orders. First of all, you have to have you have to live in the area, you have to have the birth cert and the long form, which means your religion is on it. And thirdly, you have to have a baptismal cert. And there's a huge uproar.
How is that not biggest, like, government sanctioned bigotry?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Oh man, it's like when, as I was saying, I don't know if Crafty knows this real quick. They changed the name on the birth certificate from Londonderry to Derry because it was blank government-run place run as a Protestant, but because she was on the birth certificate as Catholic, they actually changed the city of birth from Londonderry to Derry. It's that panicky and that fucking built in, like.
But is there?
I sometimes forget other countries than mine have very strange laws. So, I really can't fathom sometimes the full depth of what's going on with the stupidity.
Yeah, I mean, our schools are completely dominated by Catholicism, to the extent that they don't give you proper sex education at all. Now, I know that's not unique to Ireland, but I would say, just if you do want entertainment, go back and watch some of the videos. I think there's 2 of them up of the old, I think it was in the 80s. The sex education, the Irish sex education, they're fucking hilarious. But I was in secondary school in the early 2000s and they were still being shown. That was still our sex education. So they didn't change that much over like 20 years.
Wow. Was it on a big reel? Did they bring it out on a big reel with a projector for y'all?
No, VHS.
VHS. Every sperm is sacred.
Oh, they converted it.
We thought they showed us on big.
That reminds me. Why did the sperm cross the road?
Why?
Why is that?
Because I put on the wrong sock this morning.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Because the chicken did. Well, on that wonderful note, has anybody anything that they would like to show, promote, produce, or add to the content?
Well, I have a live stream tomorrow looking at conservatorship and the whole Free Britney movement. If you don't know what it is, tune into my channel tomorrow at 10 p.m.
5 Eastern.
UTC.
5 Eastern.
That one. Because actually, what's happening with Britney Spears is actually really interesting. I don't give a fuck about Britney Spears. It's the situation that she's in that's absolutely fascinating. So I'll be doing that tomorrow, and I have a live stream on Sunday on Steam and Couple Reasons channel. We do every week we do a live stream.
To find the goat. That's the whole point of the stream.
Yes,
is
find
to
the goat.
find the goat. And,
yes, spot the goat.
I won this week, but I was not allowed on. I am not worthy enough of a guest. So she tried.
You won after 2 other people found it.
It was only one other person, and it was really early, and I stole his answer, and nobody noticed until I fucking told you. I was honest about it.
No, he actually messaged me on Discord and said, you know, I kind of got that one first, so I actually had to go back and see. I'm terrible when it comes to multitasking. I'm terrible.
Damon was the first. Damon was the first.
Was it?
Yes.
Crafty. As Steven's left, is he going to do that stream that we talked about the other day?
So I went and actually watched. I thought he actually messaged you. I went and watched the movie, the whole movie, because I'd seen clips of it, but I went and watched the entire thing, and I advised him against doing the live reaction because no, just really no.
Okay.
If you want to watch it and yeah, if you want to watch it, I can send you the link and you can come on the stream and have a chat about it because it is that fucking awful.
What is it?
I would not wish it on anyone. It's so tomorrow night on Cider and Port we are discussing Music, the movie by Sia.
Music.
It's awful.
The movie.
It's awful. It's awful.
Sia
Spoiler
has a
alert,
movie
it's shit.
about having autism.
Banana Man has a video about if you want to kill yourself, go to God instead of going to the doctor. That's the worst video I ever seen.
So going to
kill
God
myself.
is like killing yourself.
Pardon?
So going to God is like killing yourself.
No. Look it up. It's Living Waters, The Appeal of Suicide. That's what it's actually called.
That sounds like a song.
Yeah. Local church where I used to work actually promoted it on a Friday night to their congregation.
Yeah. But Sia created a movie.
Did it? Would it be Suicide?
Hmm?
Who is Sia?
Sia is a musician.
The chick that has the hair, the wig that covers her eyes.
She's got her hair down to here, and then she's got like
she has songs, Chandelier. She had
drawings of
Is that not The
right
Ring?
There.
Is that not the movie The Ring?
No, Chandelier. What's the other one? Elastic Heart. She got in.
All right, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. Nobody fucking cares who she is.
So yeah, she created this movie about a girl who has autism, and she linked up with this group called Autism Speaks, which goes around and tries to present autism as a disease and people with autism as fucking evil and everything. It's horrible. They're horrible. And even they actually distanced themselves from this fucking movie. That's how bad it is.
Lovely.
Wow.
So if you want the worst possible thing possible,
I have an autistic son myself.
Yeah. So I mean, the way in which during the movie, basically the girl is used as a plot device, and nothing more. And what's worse is they did originally have an autistic child in the movie, and she found it too stressful and too distressing, so she quit. And so Sia brought in Maddie, who's her dancer in a lot of her videos, to play the autistic child, and brought in all of the fucking stereotypes, all of the shitty, awful, disgusting stereotypes. So yeah, it sucks.
And a lot of us, MathPig, really love Sia's music. She's actually a brilliant songwriter as far as pop music goes.
Man, in all honesty, I haven't.
she-
no, I can't. I haven't turned on the radio.
She writes for all the big singers like Rihanna and
Shit.
Beyonce
Shit.
and all that shit. Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, they're all shit.
Yes. So
Looks like you got a lot of people out there in the audience, sorry, the audience live chat, the at-home audience that are like going to check this movie out because you recommend.
Please don't watch it. Please
They're like,
don't watch
I
it.
didn't hear about that.
Dude, you don't.
No,
Do you know what's
no,
going to happen now?
no.
But you know what's going to happen now, right? Because she has promoted that, everybody in the chat is going to go, Robbie, Crafty is not good for your public image, and if you want us to continue Patreoning and membership and super chats and all, and actually making profit from this, then we're going to have to cancel Crafty.
Cancel Crafty. Make it a hashtag.
Other people have tried and failed, so they can fuck off.
Dave, have you got a quiz this week?
Tuesday, and I might be on things tomorrow or over the weekend, but I don't know because I'm expecting to be dead.
I was surprised to have you here tonight. You got your microchip earlier. I thought that would have took a lot out of you.
I was expecting it to be... Well, it normally kicks in 24 hours after. I didn't think I'd make it. But then you picked this topic, and that really pissed me off.
I did pick fuck all. I let the audience pick. And they were determined to have this. So this is being marked off the list from the pinned tweet. And
let's say you don't die, Dave. What would you be on?
Amanda's thing tomorrow night, which she'll chill in a minute. And I've forgotten what else.
Tuesday.
I was meant to be on Saturday and meant to be on something else, I think. I can't remember. And I'm on something on Tuesday, which is my show. And I've got two new shows of mine coming up that are
opposites.
Sometime later. There you go.
There you go. Check out Dave. Someone is
Suspense.
Yeah. Apostrophe Dave or explanation mark Dave. There's his link. And next we have BrainBug then. What have you got, BrainBug?
Well, I'm also doing Amanda's thing tomorrow night, so I'll let her show that though. And Saturday, we're doing another movie review. I think that this one's going to be like a Twitch exclusive though, so we're doing Zeitgeist, however you say it.
I haven't seen that yet.
I haven't seen it either. I'm going to come into it completely unprepared. It's should be interesting. There's a lot of this conspiracy crap.
What time's that at?
It is at 7. Or do you all? It is going to be on 7 Central, so 8 Eastern, Amanda. That's on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next we have Ricardo.
What do you got on Saturday?
My interview with Lawrence Krauss.
Oh.
At 8 o'clock Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal.
Okay, Amanda, what would you like to shill? What have you got coming? Apart from your I'm just interviewing Lawrence Krauss. You know.
Lawrence Krauss?
So what you're telling me is that there's not going to be anybody over there.
What's not Lawrence Krauss? Though. I think I'm going to probably end up mirroring it and putting it on my channel. I'm doing it on Empathetic Atheists on Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So, sorry, I thought you knew, Brian.
I'm sorry. No.
It's okay.
Amanda, what else have you got happening, and including your Lawrence Krauss, would you like to shill away?
Tomorrow, the 4 of us plus Vagrant Sam. It's me and Vagrant Sam's thing. With Robbie, Brian, and maybe Dave. We're just laughing at really bad climate denial memes.
By the way, on the topic of that, Ox, who is in the...
Literally about to say, we're building it on the back of Ox right now because he offered to send me a few and sent me a bunch. So
yeah, Ox put 27 memes in my fucking Discord earlier today for you, dear. So we have 27 from Ox alone. Are they
good?
Pardon?
Did you see them? Did you look them over? Are they really good?
Man, my phone would go boom, 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 boom. After the 4th one, I just muted it and I'm going to save it for tomorrow.
Yeah, I want to come into it cold so I can, just respond to them. But if you want to see them, I'll send them to you.
No, I want to be surprised too.
Okay. And bring your own too. Sam's going to bring some, but it should be fun.
Perfect. Have you got anything on Living Critically this Sunday?
No.
Right. Ricardo, have you anything coming up? We've lost Ricardo. He's passed out at the keyboard.
Sorry, mute. No, nothing planned. Just waiting for tomorrow. I may have to be an asshole to a particular apologist, but still waiting on that.
Sammy, anything coming up?
I've got Neil deGrasse Tyson. No.
Trying to one up Amanda.
Thinking about, I got to talk to you and Amanda actually. This coming Wednesday around this time, like a little bit earlier, just doing a live stream and looking at some ridiculousness.
Yes, it'll be earlier than this because I have
Yeah.
to get up at 6:30 in the morning to go to fucking work on a Thursday. So yeah.
Oh yeah. A good. I don't know what time it is for you, but around 2 hours earlier than this. So.
That'd be good.
Randy,
Fine.
we'll work something, Sammy. I have yet to be on your stream, and yeah, that needs to be sorted.
I have never done a live.
Yeah, we will
stream,
work
so-
something out.
Randy, have you anything coming up? You texted me earlier saying you started a new channel, or was it a new show?
Yeah, I do. I started a new channel called Shedding Mysticism. I'm trying to bring to light the truth of things instead of mysticism and wrong thinking. I'm trying to bring along critical thinking and introducing things, just having like a round table discussion, inviting it. Well, it's kind of, I do a reading of the definitions of what a topic may be, and then I just open up the chat, and everybody can join if they want, put their 2 cents in, and we can just have a polite conversation in between the two of us, or more, and try to get to the hard facts of things as it comports with reality. On Saturday, though, I have a 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, usual, the Live with a Harmonica Man, and I usually interview an artist, usually that plays harmonica, but any musician is welcome to come on in and get an interview of where they've been down their musical journey, and usually an after party after that where I open up the lines and people can join in and start joking around and doing whatever. But that's pretty much all I got going on, other than my normal music videos and things like that I post all the time.
Yeah, I would notice when I would pop into your live chats, there would be, channels named music-wise that I would never see anywhere else. So, I've jumped over to one and followed him. I think his name was Dan, guitar player or something like that. I can't remember. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, you would find people making music, and Harmonica Man is not just a name. He actually does play the harmonica, and quite well. I have recorded a few. They are quite good. And to point out to who was it who asked in the chat? I think it was that person who shall not be named, asking what is climate change. It's the same as global warming, but named better. Oh yeah, sorry. Now I'm going to get set fire.
Hot ball?
Pardon?
Hot ball?
Hot ball.
Yeah. Global warming named better. Hot ball.
What would you, if you could name climate change anything different, honey? That would be better. We're all fucked and you don't know it.
Yeah, pretty much, the coming apocalypse.
Did you see David Attenborough's thing? He put out a video,
No.
basically saying we're all fucked.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
So climate
Well-
change is just, we're all fucked.
Fuck, if he said it, then I'm bending over kissing my ass right now.
We can still minimise the damage now.
Yeah, that's all we can do.
I mean, Australia's flooded, you're screwed. So you're all going to have to move to the big rock in the middle.
Well, on that note, everybody, as we have tried to promote, I think, over every topic that has come out tonight, it all boils down to... Sorry, Sammy, have you something to add?
Dog in the fucking chat. Fuck you, dog. Flat warming.
So, back on serious topic. As I was saying, everybody as covers all topics that we were talking about tonight. It comes down to how you
YouTube
think.
algorithm.
I'm just going to just mute everybody. Where's that mute everybody?
Humans.
Oh, this is even my hangout tonight. We need to start thinking for ourselves. Promoting the whole logical thinking, as Manda uses as her tagline, think critically. We need to teach people how to think, not what to think. And as a shout out to all the Patreons, all the members, everybody that contributes to the channel. I do apologize, I didn't read the super chat from earlier, but there was a rant going on. I can't remember what it is now, so yeah. Call back again on next week, Monday or Wednesday or Thursday. There'll be 2 streams. Haven't decided which days yet. Haven't decided what we're doing yet. Next Thursday we'll probably do another Twitter poll and see what topic to pick. Other than that, everybody, thank you very much for coming. It's been an enjoyable night. I hope you all enjoyed the conversation. And with that, if my wireless mouse, I can find where it is. Yeah. Think for yourselves, people.
I hereby challenge for shine off.